Okay, let's do it. All right. Good evening, everyone. It is just after midnight, which is back to the traditional time for me streaming. But gonna be doing a daytime reasonable person stream on Friday, so that'll be Friday afternoon. Look forward to that. But yes, welcome tonight. This felt appropriate because I'm editing photos of the blood moon eclipse that happened last night, which was just a it's the last full blood moon eclipse we're gonna get until 2025, and it was very cool. And it's for me it's awesome. And usually I've got such a backlog of photos to edit, so I'm usually like unless there's something like usually I'm bad at scheduling and jumping right into I just shot this, let's edit it. But uh these I was like no, I want to the energy I got from last night and the energy from just being there and witnessing this moment, not just with people who were there on this overlook with me, but also like I've got friends in Australia, I've got friends in like up in New Jersey and out in the West Coast who were all looking at this thing around the same time, and that was it's just a cool moment to share. So it's a cool thing to be part of, and I wanted to edit it and see if I can keep at least maybe just for myself keep the energy going and keep that love flowing. So that's what we're gonna do. As always, this is an open forum, so by all means ask questions, share, tell share your thoughts and comments. And yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff we can do. I do this for a couple reasons. One, I love editing and I love getting to share that work. This is also the social media that I can stomach the most, so that's one of the reasons I do it. And then um, the other reason is I like to pull back the curtain on editing. Post processing of photos is so often behind a paywall and so often and is not even so often is a usually a very huge component of the editing process, especially when it comes to landscape and nature. Um, so I like to share that just as a free resource to whoever wants it, and just to whoever wants to come on this journey with me. So here we go. Here we are. Hello, Stephanie. Glad you're here with us, and to Evelyn and Mia, who I know eventually are gonna watch. You guys are great, and you're giggling right now, aren't you? Ah, I can see you. I can see you through your TV. Anyway, with that said, let's jump on into Lightroom. So here we go. Um, Actually, guys, give me one sec. I want to do a quick post just to share this with a couple of friends. Hang on a sec. I know it's great. We get started and then it's like, hey guys, here we go. Now we're gonna pause. But yeah, please hold for half a second. Okay, awesome. And we're back, and we'll get started. I'm gonna drink a little bit of tea. This is tonight's London fog, which I think is Irish breakfast with a little bit of orange in it. I say I think like I didn't make it 2 minutes before we started streaming. Okay, I can taste the orange a lot more than usual tonight. That's good. All right, so here is just to start off. I've edited one photo from this group because I wanted to see how it came out, and this is the before and after. So the original shot, and then let me zoom this out a little more. There we go. and then the edited version. The edited version is noisy as hell, which honestly I don't think matters in this case. Um, there are a few things I could do to or I could have done to clean this up. All of them require either plugins and apps or technology that I just don't have. But the reason I don't care is because I like from a distance that photo still looks phenomenal, and I'm not worried about it. And I feel like we worry about noise entirely too much in photography. I have never had anyone tell me a photo doesn't look good because there is noise in it, or at least to this degree. Uh, Anyways, that's one photo. We've got a bunch. We've got a bunch kind of going through the whole phase of the thing, and then I've got a few that I took because I was up there until after sunrise. So probably gonna alternate back and forth. But yeah, let's start here with just a shot of the moon. We were just a couple minutes into the eclipse here. I actually want to experiment with a couple different versions of this because I did two photos. I did a bu- I, did, I, mean, I took a bunch of pictures here of the moon, uh, kind of in the moments before the eclipse. I'm debating doing a time lapse of these, but yeah, so let's start with this one because this one's a little more traditionally the way this one looks a little overexposed. I want to see which one of them I like better. So we'll start with this one. Step one, we're gonna crop it a bit. Bring that in, not, yeah, it's gonna kind of be in square just because I want it more or less centered. Maybe not quite square, a little bit like that. A little centered, and then kind of let the moon drift a little bit above the horizon or the center line of the photo because I like, yeah, little bits we can do to make us feel like we're looking up at it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so step one with me is always going to be upping the clarity for this because I want to bring out as much texture in the moon as I can. And that looks good. I can actually zoom in and edit it from here because there's nothing else to really worry about right now. I could dehaze. Dehaze works for color, does a lot for color, doesn't really do much for this. Bring up the texture on the moon is a good idea though. That's gonna, yeah, make that really pop. And that's, if you're wondering, that's usually where a lot of the noise comes from. That and if I dehaze it or brighten up a lot of the darkness. Um, but I don't really need to. This is actually, I like the exposure on this. Let's go back into 50%. There we go. Aha, see if I bring up the shadows, you're getting noise around it. So I'm going to save that for later. I don't really need to do much with the moon. The moon looks pretty good. I can bring up the highlights, but that's going to just brighten up stuff I don't need brightened. If I bring up the whites a little tiny bit, the effect I end up doing is I end up adding, it draws attention to the parts it gives us a little more contrast on the moon itself, and I like that a lot. I'm curious to crank the saturation and the vibrance just to see if I get anything here. Not really. A little bit of purple, but not really. Yeah. I guess and then I could do something like this and really push it one way or the other, but make the moon purple. There we go. I saw an amazing photo today, like compilation of a photographer who had, over the course of 10 years, taken pictures of the full moon at different times of year and different moments so that she had it in, I think, 48 different colors that it just naturally occurred in various times. And it was a lot of it was like, very like, you get like the full you get the full orange like hunter's moon sometimes, and then you get the kind of softer orange moon when it's different times of year. But just the fact that just the cool seeing 48 full moons in different shades and different colors was very cool, and of course a blood moon was on that. Okay, so that photo looks like that. I'm doing it. The masking on this is so easy. We're gonna do a little bit of that. There we go. We got the subject. We're then going to invert this because I don't really need to do much with the moon. But I can actually I do want to do something with the moon, but I'm going to bring down the blacks around it just to make sure that darkness is dark. It's not really doing much. Actually, no, I'm not sure I need to do that. That sky is pretty spectacularly dark. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the shadows on the moon just a bit. That way I get, yeah, that way I can bring up uh, yeah, that way I can bring up the darkness. Message. Uh, Sorry, one sec, guys. Anyway, yeah, that way I can bring up the darkness, the darker parts of the moon a little bit, just to kind of soften them up and so we can see a little bit what's in there without you know dealing with noise in the thing itself. So there we go. That's one photo done. nice and easy. We'll go back to the regular edit, or not crop. Let's go back to the regular edit tool, and we'll set the rating to 3. And then we're going to go to this guy and do a similar thing. I want to sync the crop on these, nothing else, just the crop, because I want to make sure I want to get the same aspect ratio. That's probably what I'll end up doing. Let's see, check none, just the crop, synchronize. It goes here, and now I can, keeping that the same, I can adjust this to more or less the same spot, something like that. If I end up dropping these into Photoshop and doing a time lapse of some kind, I will have Photoshop do an alignment on them. There we go. Cool. I turned off the grid on here. That was the thing that I'd had been using, and I had gotten some advice that it does tend to. Let's go ahead and select the subject, just get that mask already, because I know I'm going to want it. I'd gotten some advice that like it does kind of constrain you, not so much constrain, but it does kind of make you lean towards using the rule of thirds and using the kind of standard things, as opposed to letting the composition sort of be its own thing. Um, and that is, and I'm like, I like I need to trust myself more. That's kind of the conclusion here. Okay, so step one, bring the clarity up. This one I might dehazing's not what I want to do here. I'm just gonna bring down the leave the shadows over there. We're gonna bring down the whites till we get a nice even. Bring the highlights in. We can just do that. Yeah, there we go. I don't mind some part of it being bright. I think the brightness looks good. Gonna of course bring the texture up because I do love having that texture there. Uh, the blacks. Now we're gonna leave the blacks alone. Don't really need to do much with them. Let's zoom in a bit and take a look. Yeah, that's looking pretty good to me. I don't have a whole lot of complaints with that. Um, all right. Geez, yeah, I could throw it to black and white, and all that does is give me a little more contrast. So we're gonna stay in color for this, and we're gonna bring the shadows up a little. I don't know. The more I think about this, the more I'm not sure I need to do anything else. If I wanted to bring the shadows of the blacks up, I could, but it's not really. Yeah, I don't think I even need that mask on this one. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's delete that mask. Nice. Okay, so now comparing the two. This one's still brighter. You get a little more contrast to it. You get a little more of a. Yeah, we can turn the masking thing off. We get a little more. Yeah, a little more contrast. A little more of a. I don't know. I think you get a little more. Like draws my eye a little more. This one seems a little flatter than that one. I think I like this one a little better. So we'll set that at 3 as well. I'm gonna drop this one down to 2. Sweet. Okay. All right. Let's look at a couple more. This photo is interesting. This photo I am just gonna quickly play with because I'm curious what I can do with it. But this is a uh, this was the street kind of. So I'm on this overlook, which I can show you real quick. I'm shooting. Where's a wide shot? There's a wide shot. Wider. Oh, that's actually a better wide. Somewhere right over here. There we go. So I'm up on this overlook, shooting out this way, and uh, if you actually, I know I've got a better angle where I actually see the street. Nope, not there. Somewhere in here. I know I took a photo that actually shows the street I'm talking about. Maybe I'll find it one of these days. Actually, wait, there it was. It was right there. Okay. So if I go, yeah, if I click to one of these, there we go. So yeah, so on this overlook, there's this street down here, uh, and and I'm standing, and the moon is kind of. I'm looking here. That's where the street is. The moon was way up there. So when yeah, I've got the camera calibrated for the moon, and I'm just looking, getting shots of the moon because that's what I'm there to do. But at one point, I turned it and aimed it, and without changing any settings, just aimed it down at the street, and this is what I got with the street lights and just the like you can sort of see like those are the street lamps that kind of go around. Those are red lights. Get yellow lights down there. So I'm just gonna quickly play with this just to see if anything happens when I ratchet some sliders back and forth. Make the texture's kind of fun. If I bring up the blacks, yeah, there's no information in here. That's kind of cool. If I take a look at this, yeah, everything that just turned blue is everything that this photo is too dark to find information in. Like if I brighten up the exposure on this, oh, there's a little bit of information. There's enough in that noise to find stuff, but it is still, even cranking the exposure all the way up, there's still areas that are too dark to find anything in. I think that's interesting. You know, haven't really put out any photos that are just incredibly grainy. That'd be kind of if I want to lean to like a 70s vibe. If I, but it also means I can't do a whole lot with this photo. Uh, there's something kind of cool about this. I don't know. This is Wouldn't necessarily expect to play with this photo as much as I am, but I am kind of digging this. If I bring the whites down, and you get that kind of, that is so seedy in just in a way that I find super interesting. Let's reset that. I can push, actually a little bit of green's not too bad. That makes the yellows pop in a grosser way. I can crop this a little bit more if I want to come down. Because yeah, the thing that drew my eye to this moment was the fact that you had a green light, a red light, and a yellow light all kind of in line there. So I could do this with that kind of thing, with that kind of idea in mind. There we go. Cool. Wasn't even planning on doing anything with that photo. Now I just did something with it. We're gonna give that its rating, and we're gonna go back to shooting the moon as a palette cleanser there. That by the way, hang on, sip of tea first. Uh, that by the way is, I mean, if I was going for this look specifically, if I wanted to shoot this and I was not going for this look, this photo is still mostly unusable, and I just did all the things with it to the sliders. So this photo has been substantially just manipulated to the point that it's like, yeah, it's not in great shape, but I kind of like it for that. Um, but the fact that I was able to do this is why you shoot raw. If you shoot raw, that's what you can do with it. Okay, let's go back to the moon. There was a photo. There was one in here. I think this might be the one. There were a couple. There were a couple of photos I took where, as we kind of get further into the eclipse, and then I'm gonna go in a couple minutes. I'm gonna start doing the blood moon stuff with the reds. There was a photo that I got, and man, these all just look the frickin' same. Where I think I just had it. I think it's this one. Um, I had been trying to capture, like, it was fascinating being like the thing I couldn't quite capture here between the what the moon was doing that to my eye versus to the lens was the there was the section of darkness, and then there was the shadow that sort of reached out, and looking at it there was a color to it. There was like the moon itself had and a more orange glow, uh, and then the shadow itself had a bit of blue. And so I'm probably gonna do. There's probably gonna be a photo here that I manipulate to replicate that. But the thing about this that I liked that I was trying to get is you've got the bit that's dark, like the full that's eclipsing. You have the edge of that and kind of into this middle where you can still see it. And there's the parts that are completely dark, there's the parts that are visible, and then there's the part here just on the edge that's blown out. And I kind of want to see if I can lean into that kind of gradient there. So we'll start with the clarity. We'll follow it with the texture. That's where I like to begin. Do a quick noise check. That's not too bad yet. We'll get there. Uh, I'll bring the highlights down just the tiniest bit just to get that. Now dehazing makes a statement. Uh, Actually, not a bad statement. A little bit extra of that's not too bad, though. I might just do that with shadows. I bring the shadows down, I can get a little more of that texture in the middle uh, without the huge increase of the eclipse, because I don't necessarily want to do that, but maybe a tiny bit. Um, Once again, checking the color. All right, a little bit of color in there. We're starting to get something. Gonna have some fun with that when I decide to actually put some color in. Yeah, I like this. This is giving me, let's see, whites. Now, if I bring the whites down, I mean, I get a very nicely exposed moon, but I don't get that kind of gradient that I want. I'm gonna do a second version of this. Let's see, because I like this photo. So we got two versions. This one here, I'm gonna bring the whites down and let it sort of be that. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, -7, I think. There we go. Gonna let that be the kind of evenly exposed version of the moon. I'm gonna go to -4. Yeah, let it be the kind of the evenly exposed version of the moon. And this one I'm gonna let kind of have that brightness and let it be a little more of a, I don't know, to me a little more of a, I don't know, a little more of a statement, a little more interesting in a way, but not necessarily not sure that's the right word for it. Okay, cool. Let's be happy with that. I don't know if there's anything else I need to do. That looks really good, as does this one. They both look good to me. So let's go ahead and just do our thing where we grab boom, boom. Nope, I want both of you. Nah, not all of that. I just want this one, and then I want this one and this one. There we go. Did I accidentally select that? I don't know if I did or not. All right, make sure this is the active one, and we're going to synchronize the crop again, which will sync these guys, and now I can adjust them individually to get them more or less centered. That looks pretty good. He said. It's hard to find the center of a circle that's disappearing. I can live with that. Okay, and now we're going to take this and synchronize the crop between the two of them, which causes this one to move over a tiny bit. There we go. Done. These guys both look good. 3 and 3. Sexy. Moving on. All right, we're going to go to, let's do a quick peek here. We're going to go to, I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the moon and other stuff. This is, I mean, it's all sort of moon related. Let's do one of these. Actually, no, actually, there's a photo I want to check. There's a photo I wanted to see if I can do anything with, and it's this one. Thank you, Callista. Yeah, no, the details on this are, yeah, no, the texture that you can pull out of the moon is just magnificent. Okay, I'm really curious because I don't know if you can see it on there. The moon is in this shot. It's right in the middle, and this was right at the point we were the eclipse was. The eclipse wasn't over. The eclipse had a while to go before it ended, but you're fighting sunrise and fighting the light in the sky overshadowing it, so you start losing it. And I've got some cool shots like back here that we'll do something with where you can still see the moon. But this was the last shot I took of the moon. Like I think the middle one's the only one I can sort of see it in. So we're gonna see if we can pull that out. We're gonna see if we can find the moon in that. Let's start off by kind of fixing our angle here a little bit. I'm gonna bring this in so I get a little bit less of the Wells Fargo building and a little bit less of the Bank of America building. There we go. Like I can see that moon there. I know it's there. Okay, so let's say we're done with that. And now we're gonna start throwing sliders and see if we pull anything out. So, all right. My dehaze? No, dehaze isn't helping. Textures. I mean, it's pulling out noise. It's pulling out the noise before it's pulling out the moon, but it's definitely. I'm seeing the moon now. Shadows down, blacks down, maybe. You definitely see it. This photo is not going anywhere. I'm just experimenting to see if I can find it. See if I can still capture it. All right, yep, sort of there. If I bring up the exposure, that's just gonna. Oh, no, I don't know. It's not really doing much. Contrast, not really helping. All right, now we're gonna come down to my colors, and if I bring the blues down, the red's up. I don't know. It's not. It's barely registering there. Just kind of. Oh, there we go. Bring up the purples. So does that mean if I shift this toward purple? Not really. I'm gonna pull a little bit out of there. Like, can sort of see it's there. This photo is noisy and not in a good way, so I'm not loving it. But the fact that all right, it's there. Yeah. Huh. Oh, that's dust on my sensor. Gotta clean my camera at some point. But yeah, okay. It was cool to find that. Wondered if I could. That's getting 2 stars just so I can come back and find it later. Yeah, that's the thing about moon photography is that if you can go out and get the best time for moon photography is moonrise and moonset because it is closest to the horizon and that's when you get those really big moon stuff. And also by virtue of this being on a telephoto lens, like I'm shooting at 600 millimeters here, um, yeah, it exaggerates distance or it compresses distance and kind of exaggerates size. Yeah, if you see those shots where it's like, yeah, there's a picture I got on Instagram posted that I stays in my head where it's this gorgeous shot of the like gorgeous shot over this church, and the moon is just this huge thing behind it, and it's because he shot it from like a hill on the other side of the town. He's like, I forget how many miles away he was from the subject, but by zooming that in on a long lens, that's how you get that compression. That's how you get the moon to look big, even though in here it's still, yeah, gotcha. Hey, thank you, Jules, for subscribing. Uh, it's been so long since I've had someone subscribe midstream. I forgot what that sounded like. So thank you. Hope that wasn't jarring to anybody. It definitely surprised me, but thank you. But yeah. Anyway, so that's a surprise moon. Uh, let's edit one of the blood moon photos because those are cool. Um, we've already done this one. This one is my favorite. Uh, not gonna do much with that. I want to do, and these are mostly it's a lot of it's the same. And if you're wondering why the uh, for anyone who's not into astrophotography, wondering why the moon is in different spots in my frame, and I couldn't just keep the stupid camera still. Part of it is because I can't keep the stupid camera still, but also part of it is because you're like dealing with the rotation of the Earth, which so the moon is always sort of moving in the sky. It's also one of the reasons I love doing nighttime long exposures. These had to be under 2 seconds. I found my best results were at about point 0.8 seconds, as you can see up in the corner there. Um, because otherwise the moon started getting like the movement of the Earth would cause the moon to not be a circle, would cause it sort of be to blur and to be kind of an oval, and you start losing detail. So that's why. All right, I want to do this because I got up there and I started playing with white balance, which like here's well, we're gonna do some of these too. These are the fun ones, but like so this is auto white balance. This is just what I was getting normally. This is when I switched it to I think it was, I don't know if this was the daylight or the cloud. I think this was the cloudy one that kind of trying to compensate for the lack of, yeah, for the lack of sun, kind of pushes the yellows a little bit, and so you get that it pulls the blood color out of it really nicely, and I liked that. Um, these here, I was like, all right, let me try pushing it to blue, and so these are the ones where I pushed it to the into like the fluorescent settings that have no business being used on moon photography, um, because I wanted to see what would happen. So this is what I got. Let's play. Gonna start off by, as always, we're gonna sync. I'm gonna start picking out a few photos and kind of try to synchronize. You know, I might as well just synchronize all of the moon shots. Like, I see no reason not to just do that, except for you. You don't get synced, and you've already been synced. So let's go ahead and synchronize this. Just the crop. I'm gonna have to readjust it, but that'll give us. There we go. Pulls us in, so they're all at least the same aspect ratio. I can adjust from there. This guy's going to get adjusted because this is still my favorite. Uh, that's your full eclipse. Let's bring that down a little bit. It's fun. This is here's a fun bit of Eric trivia. My first my first kind of encounter with what an eclipse actually was, and this uh is all right. I was a Power Rangers fan growing up, and the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, when they introduced the Green Ranger, when they introduced Tommy, they had a 5 episode long thing where he starts out as a villain and he like basically decimates the Rangers, and then they eventually like turn him back to being a good guy, and they all work together. Um, but like the all is lost moment on that of that arc was the the time that the all right, I don't want to dehaze this. I want to do other things with color, but not dehaze. Um, was the time that yeah, this is gonna be as noisy as the last one, but doesn't matter too much. We're gonna brighten it up. Um, was the time the random like you know kids shows of like, hey, we've never talked about this before, but here's how this happens. Here's one of the rules of our universe, and then we're gonna forget it. And apparently the Megazords are all solar powered. So the bad guys engineered an eclipse to drain the Power Rangers Zords, so so they wouldn't be able to fight back. And yeah, that was my so for years as a kid, I hated eclipses. I didn't like them. They were in my head. They were nothing but a symbol of my heroes failing, so I hated them. That's my first. And I still like so I spent time up on this hill last night thinking about that episode. So any Power Rangers fans watching, give me a thumbs up. Give me your what's your favorite series of Rangers or your favorite Ranger in general? Uh, okay, so that looks good. Let's keep playing. Um, could bring up the vibrance, could bring up the saturation. I don't know. I think I want to do those individually. Let's see. All right, there's a little bit of noise in the sky. I'd like to get rid of some of that, so we are going to mask these. And you'll notice I'm going to be doing a lot more masking and noise and dealing with more noise in the photos with the eclipse happening because uh uh yeah, in the photos with the eclipse happening because the this is important. No, okay. Because that is because it's like it's darker. You don't have the full sun hitting the moon, so you don't have the shadows up a little bit, bring the blacks down a bit, gives a little more. No, I don't know. I'm about to do some color work. I'm gonna leave that as is for now. I could reduce the noise, but that does end up really softening it. I love the noise reduction tool in Lightroom, but it's not in this case because I'm bringing up such small details. I'm gonna leave them as is. We're gonna do a duplicate and invert, uh, and here I'm gonna bring down the blacks, and I'm gonna do noise reduction because there's no reason not to, and that way I can the moon will be noisy, but the rest won't. But anyway, yeah. So the reason these shots are gonna be a little noisier and a little darker is because you do have you know you're This is this is no longer the moon just reflecting the light from the sun. We are now the moon is now being lit effectively just by the ambient light of the galaxy. Like that's basically what it is. It's just the ambient light of the universe. And I do like I don't know if the light coming from Earth is enough like of a light pollution to get to do something for the moon or not. I don't think so because otherwise like new moons wouldn't necessarily be as much of a thing. Um, but anyway, so yeah, that's why these shots are going to be darker. Therefore, when I brighten them up, there's going to be a little bit more noise. Okay, now we're going to play with color because I want to pull out the colors that are down there. Um, Kimberly's great. Kimberly's fantastic. Uh, Kimberly, this is going to be a weird statement. I'm going to explain it. Kimberly, the only actual female ranger on that first team. Uh, because and this is in the like if you're from like I don't know how familiar everyone is with Power Rangers, so I may be about to over explain a whole bunch of shit. But like Power Rangers, at least originally, I don't know if they're still doing this or how they do it now. But yeah, originally the all they filmed almost none of the fight scenes in the U.S. That was all uh that was all done because they got the rights to a Japanese show called Super Sentai, and they were using that footage for the fight scenes. Anytime they were morphed, they were using the footage. Uh, that was footage from the Japanese show for the most part. They just dubbed it, which is why everyone moves differently when they're in their suits, and why some of the dubs seem weird. Um, so that's and that was the gimmick with Power Rangers because it was cheap to produce. You didn't have to like all the action stuff, all the expensive shooting was both basically done, and then you would just do um uh yes, the expensive shooting was done. It was already done. You bought the rights to that, and then all you had to do was just all you had to do was just film the non-morphed stuff, and that was easier and cheaper. So that's how the show came about. But the thing is, in Japan, again, I don't know what the demographics are now. In Japan, in the original Mighty Morphin team, it was 4 men and 1 woman. The Yellow Ranger was a guy, which is what, and then which is why in the original, and then when they brought it to America, uh, they got Trini as the Yellow Ranger, which nonstop talk about the problematic casting of casting an Asian woman as the Yellow Ranger, and they also cast a black man as the Black Ranger, and they sort of fixed that for a while. And then Jason David Frank played the Red Ranger, and he's Native American, so it's a whole thing. But anyway, um, if you watch the fights in the original series, they don't have this is meant to be a photo editing live stream. We're talking Power Rangers trivia. though not the weirdest off topic we've gone to. Anyway, um, so yeah, the original. If you watch the fight scenes in the original Mighty Morphin Rangers, Kimberly's morphed costume has a little tiny skirt on it, and Trini's doesn't. And the reason is because that's a in the morphed fight scenes that is a Japanese man in that suit. So just a there we go. Power Rangers fact at 12:45 a.m. on this photo editing live stream of the moon. Yeah, I probably couldn't have predicted that's where this was gonna go. Okay, I'm actually gonna bring the contrast down a little bit. I like how the colors are popping in a little bit. I might do a little bit more with that. But yeah, so that one looks cool. Get a little bit of that color in there. Give that a 3. All right. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know if this is just because I was like fully prepubescent when I was watching Power Rangers, but I never really had a crush on any of the characters. All right, let's take that one out. That one's a little bit softer than I wanted it to be. Let's work on this one. But I know I had a lot of friends who were I was the nerdy kid, obviously, still am, but I had a lot of friends who basically I think like excused uh oh yeah, I forgot about the sexy duck. Oh man. I'm gonna think about that duck later. Yeah. Thank you, Steffi. Thank you for reminding me about the sexy duck. To any of my new subscribers, I can't tell you, you're kind of ducked. But anyway, um, the fact that I like watch the fact that Kimberly that my like some of my friends and the people I knew like found Kimberly hot was uh was basically one of the reasons I was able to watch Power Rangers and still be cool. It was like I'm just like I'm just not gonna tell you I'm not watching it for her. I'm watching because I like the fights and the shows and the like and that stuff. Uh, and I had guy friends who were like, "You watch Power Rangers?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, Kimberly's hot. That's cool. All right, you can do that." And I'm like, "All right, that is what it is, I guess." Okay, same deal. Bringing up too much noise there, so we're gonna pull this back, and we're gonna do that with masking. I gotta like write like I gotta write like sexy duck on a post-it, put it on my computer, and just sit here and just keep it there until I come up with something. Uh, until there's a night where I end up saying something weirder. All right, let's just bring the shadows down there, and we'll noise reduce. There we go. That gets the background of that nice, clean look. And we'll create a new mask, selecting the subject again. Cool. And then I can adjust some details here. Yeah, I feel like that's. I've had a lot of friends who have come out and have had been able to like go back through their lives and be like, was I like was that like was this with like kind of those moments of like yeah we saw it coming. Um, I have had a surprising number of people like who have like if I was gonna make a list of like things people have told me were like the characters they were attracted to before they realized they were part of the Alphabet Mafia, um, the that like Elizabeth from Pirates of the Caribbean is like the winner by like by like yards. It's hilarious how many of my friends have been like, yeah, no, it was like like Elizabeth from Pirates like was one of their moments of like I didn't realize, but now it makes sense. I'm like I see that. I think Elizabeth from Pirates is an overall well done character, uh, which is going from Power Rangers to Pirates. This is apparently I'm not talking about photo editing tonight, but yeah, I am such a huge fan and in some ways apologist for the first three Pirates movies. This one has so much color in it. I love this. Okay, so to talk about what I'm doing here, talk about a little bit of photo editing. Um, is I'm just like adjusting the individual color sliders. The first up here is saturation, and down here is bright is the luminance, so the brightness of each one. Um, and it's funny. This is I love the I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just an institutional bias or what, but a lot of times the photographers who I've seen their editing tutorials, almost nobody uses this panel, and I don't know why. It is my favorite panel to use. Like everyone uses a lot of people use curves, which I've never had a huge thing for. Um, I'll use the color grading panel, which I've seen a couple times, and a lot of people I know come down and use the calibration panel. Which I mean, let's be fair. If I want to do the, if I want to get that like, that Instagram look of the like the the high contrast kind of orange and teal, or the or that like those kind of get that kind of look, that's where I would go. That does it very well. But I really love this color panel. Like, basically, what I'm trying to do here is get the okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't. I've never. Let's keep red saturation where it was. Um, yeah, I have not gotten into the habit too much of editing photos in Photoshop. That's unless there's a specific effect I want to pull off. So for the most part, yeah, I use it here, but I know it's in Camera Raw, and I can totally see it being useful there. Let's see. I want to brighten or darken. I kind of don't. I kind of like where these are more or less at. Trying to keep that, yeah, looking like an even gradient with a little bit of color there. Let's come up here, and now I don't feel bad pushing the vibrance up a couple bit notches and the saturation a little bit, and that'll just now I can pull. Now I'm pulling everything up, and that looks really cool. That's a shot that uh, maybe that's what it is, Steffi. Maybe it's like all of my like I have enough like I celebrate curves enough in the rest of my life that I get in here and I'm like, I don't need that right now. I'm good. Thanks, Lightroom. Appreciate you. All right, so we're gonna do that. One other thing I want to do. I'm leaving this as is. I like this. That's a moonshot I don't usually get to see, and I kind of dig that. Okay, let's put those highlights back. Thank you. Let's crank this up to like 20. Yeah, let's brighten up a little bit. Yeah, just that extra little bit to bring those colors out a little more. Uh, yep. Yeah, no, like, I haven't spent a lot of time in Camera Raw, but I know I've seen people use it, and I know it's a lot of the most of the same sliders and stuff. Um, I don't know. I like Lightroom. It's kind of where I started, but I don't know. Yeah, this shot is, yeah, no. Anyway, finishing the Lightroom thought. It's just, it's if your photos come out looking good and you're happy with them, use what tools you have. Uh, but yeah, no, part of me is like, I don't want to go off this shot because I love how it came out. It looks really, yeah, I love it. Out of curiosity, this might be a bad idea, but I want to see if I can crank the texture a little bit more. It means adding more noise, but give me a little more texture. That is great. One of these days, if I start making enough money off of photography, I will shell out for Topaz and the denoise plugins. Um, but okay, so cool. So we got that one done. Let's do one of these where it's not quite complete. Let's do this one. That one's actually looking a little soft. Let's look at this one. These were hard to these this was probably the hardest part of the night, trying to get these photos to turn out. Because I'm dealing with multiple things that are moving, and that's basically full eclipse. Okay. There's this one. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take, just as I try to figure out which one I want to use. There's that one, this one, that one's kind of past the point. Okay, let's take all of these. Let's just crank the texture up. I just want to see what kind of detail I'm pulling out. Let's just synchronize this. Crop is already the same, and we're just gonna sync texture. So I can look at these kind of with an idea of what I'm gonna do with them. Okay, it's not too bad. Also not too bad. I don't know. All right, you know what? Let's just play. Let's just work with this one. All right, so we'll start with adjusting the crop a little bit, bring it down, bring it centered. Cool. All right, and let's see what we can do. How's my overexposure? Yeah, that's all overexposed and that's all dark, and that's totally fine. We're gonna select the subject because I know I'm gonna be brightening, so I'm gonna get a hold of the moon and go ahead and darken the background. Let's invert, blacks down, noise up. Cool. That'll save us that trouble later. Close that down. Start working on this. So second deal, clarity all the way up. Hey, that pulls out. That's interesting. That's pulling out an interesting thing. And I think you can sort of see it here. It's not quite. I need to do clarity on all of these. Let's really quickly do that. Didn't adjust that one. Let's turn that one off. Okay, so click here. Sync. Same deal. Turn crop off. Just syncing. Oh, no. Texture already done. Let's sync clarity. Sync. Boom, boom, boom. Those all just got more interesting. Okay. But you can kind of, I don't know if this is an illusion that I'm seeing just because there's that distinct whiteness to it, but this photo almost looks a little bit, what am I shooting at? Okay, yeah. This moon looks a little bit like ovular. Looks a little bit like it's a bit of an oval, which I don't care if that's the right word. That word sounds weird every time I say it. Um, but yeah, it's a little bit of an oval. And that's because this is a 2-second exposure, so the rotation of the Earth was sort of getting me a little bit. Is this one any better? Yeah, this is back down to 0.8, so you see it's a little bit less of that problem versus this one. This one actually looks better. Yeah, with the clarity up, I can tell a little more. All right, let's go ahead and this one I think is a problem, so let's go ahead and remove that one. Between these two, I guess I can do the compare thing, which 50. Yeah, I think that one's the better one to go with. Okay, cool. Zoom that back out. This guy is going to get removed in Lightroom. I come back to working on this one here. Hey, you. Okay, everybody say goodnight to Maria Lisa. They're all saying it. They're just on a delay. We're editing this from about like 15 seconds into the future, so it's very exciting. There she is. Or hey, there's a face. So yeah, I like that one. What do you think? Man, what do you think of this one? Yeah. Played with the white balance on the camera, and then just enhanced what was there. So yeah. Thanks. Ah, you're very cute. Thank you. Yeah, no, stop threatening people. Stop making them say things we know they don't want to say. All right. Good night. Love you too. All right. Anyway, back to this photo, which we're gonna see what kind of fun we can have with those bright whites, because we are clipping the edge there, and that's actually fine. I don't doesn't bother. Oh, hey, take the highlights out and you lose everything. That's kind of funny. All right. Yeah, I don't want to dehaze that, especially not in the across the board. If I'm gonna do that, I'll do that. I'll do that in a mask, which I'm gonna do right now to see what it looks like. All right, let's go ahead just to see what dehazing the moon looks like, or less dehazing. That's actually pretty interesting. I don't hate that. Maybe a little bit of that might not be a bad thing. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Okay, cool. And then we'll do a quick duplicate and invert so that I can pull the blacks down, uh, up the texture, and reduce the noise. And the only reason I up the texture is because it's these little stars here will get pulled out a little brighter. Um, Also, if you're wondering, the stars, talking about the movement of the Earth, even at 0.8 seconds, the stars are not circles. They are, yeah, they're little rectangles. And that's because the Earth is rotating, and even 0.8 seconds is a long enough shot to have that, to make that happen. So, all right, done with masking for now. Let's play with, actually, let's go back to that mask for 1 sec. Uh, Ooh, yes. Thank you, Callista, for joining. I can't wait to see how your photos come out with what you're going to be editing. And yeah, we'll be trying to stream at least once a week. So you're always welcome to jump in and share your thoughts and feedback. So thank you and have a good night. Can't wait to show you these. You're gonna love them. Okay, where were we? We were still working on the moon mask, which is here. Let's go ahead and up the texture again on that. I could up the clarity again, but that's gonna end up looking bad. Yeah. Undo. The highlight. highlights down. We're gonna leave them where they were. Shadows up a little bit, shadows down. I don't know. I kind of like just that slice of white there is beautifully overexposed. You have the saturation, but I think I'm gonna do that individually. So here we go. Let's come down here. Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing I did before and do it individually, and then come up with more. So yeah, I'm gonna pull the reds up, pull the oranges up a little bit less. Yellows, I kind of want to bring the yellows down and let them kind of be a little white. Blues for sure. Purples, magenta. Cool. Let's come down here. Let's bring up. Honestly, I think I just gotta leave that alone because otherwise it's getting. I'll zoom in and take a look at it. I will say I wish this photo was a little bit sharper. It's not my overall favorite that it's not. Mess these down a bit and kind of get a little more of that color, that darkness in there. Um, the aqua's isn't really playing a role in this photo at all, is it? Maybe oh yeah, a tiny bit on the edge. We're gonna bring that down a bit. Reds could brighten up, don't really need to. We're gonna leave them alone. Oranges, same deal. Yellows, I'm gonna bring the yellows up a bit because it gives us this nice detail in here in this little section. Uh, it's also wild just to look at this and realize that like this is like yeah, we're looking at this as it's a globe with texture on it, but it is like there's these are valleys and mountains and like this is a whole fantastic landscape on the moon, which yeah, just fucking cool. All right, very very cool. That's a photo that is done. 3 stars. All right, let's see what else we got. We got some shots of the slivers here, which we could do. Um, uh, which are not the most interesting things to me, at least because the moon is the blood moon is cool. Let me edit this one a bit. Just I'm curious if I throw the. Oh wait, hang on, kids. Might be finding something here. We might be doing something with this shot. Yeah, I think we're gonna give it that little bit. It's gonna be noisy as all get out, but it's gonna be cool. Okay, subject selection. Uh, this is probably not gonna give me the full circle. It's gonna give me the half moon. I hope it did. Perfect. Cool. So I can now invert that, reduce the fuck out of the noise, bring the tech, keep the texture more or less where it is. Shadows down just a touch. And we're gonna leave that where it is. I think just reducing the noise is what I need to do there. Cool. And then we're gonna create a new mask. Oh, not the sky. Cancel that. I'm not. I need to select the sky. New mask with the subject. Cool. And I'll just have that in case I need it. Now the crop is pretty good. Pretty happy with the crop on this one. Good. Lock that in. I was happy with the crop on this one, then I moved it too much. There we go. Better. All right. So we can bring up and down. We can play with the highlights if we want to. I bring up the shadows without getting a ton of noise in there. I kind of can, just a little bit. Just find the edge right before I start getting noise. Because that's kind of cool. I'm getting noise around there. Let's bring this down. There we go. That's kind of dope, honestly. Uh, bring out those little bits of color in the edge there. Let's zoom in and work on this. It's there. There's that little bit of purple and blue around the edge, so we're gonna bring that up. Not quite that harsh, but that's kind of cool. Something really dope about that. I actually really love that. Okay, We're overexposed a little bit there, but that doesn't mean we can't get more out of that. Let's go back to let's get this mask here that we haven't done anything with. Bring those highlights down. There we go. Yeah, I'll take it back. Let's swing the whites down. Keep the highlights kind of. There's a limit to what we can do with that. Little bits, pieces here. This is trying to do like a kind of trying to do an HDR version of the moon, doing a high dynamic range shot with the moon, and that's a little bit surprisingly difficult. Level upping the texture there. Cool. Yeah, this shot got really interesting. I was not expecting it to be this cool. Gotta move this a little bit so I get so the full globe is now the subject as opposed to just the curve. Down a bit. It's funny. I was up there with another photographer. There were several photographers who were up there, but I was up there with a guy named Skip who was really cool. Had a camera and a telescope and the whole like he was doing the whole thing. But his wife was there, and she and I were jokingly bemoaning the fact that we don't live on a flat Earth, and man, if we did, the moon wouldn't be moving, and it'd be great. If we didn't, wasn't like, astrophotographers, we should all get together and campaign to that the Earth should be flat, just so that we can get better night photography or better star photos. All right, I'm honestly pretty. Oh, that's the thing I want to do. I want to bring the saturation, the vibrance, or at least try to with that before it starts looking ridiculous. Okay. Tell me if this is me. Like whoever's watching this, like feel free to weigh in comments or like yeah, send me like personalized messages or like throw rocks through my window with your thoughts written down in it. Does this look like the moon is sort of wearing a fez or like a yarmulke? Like does the moon have a yarmulke or like a little hat in this? Because I feel like it sort of does. I feel like we sort of gave the moon a bit of a fez. So, or is it a Pokeball? These are the hard-hitting questions we're asking on the stream tonight. Is the moon wearing a yarmulke, or is the moon a Pokeball? Pokeball, not Pokeball. We know it's not a Pokeball. It has no fish. I guess unless you're in the Douglas Adams universe, in which case, I'm not sure what the moon is made of in that version, but I know there's a lot of fish. Okay, 3 stars for that photo. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, it's the photo we're editing. Really can't. That one you got to look at. All right, so that one's pretty cool. Yep, let's leave that alone. Done some more slivers. Done some more of this stuff. Let's go. Let's switch to some sunrise. So let's do this. Let's do a photo like see, I've already edited this one. There's anything I want to do with that. Let's do where I got the eclipse sort of coming in. Let's work on this one. Actually, we already worked on this. We already worked on this one. So, uh, I want one that's got a little bit of like a good amount of eclipse happening. Or yeah, but it's still exposed brightly enough that I can play with it. Let's do this. Let's do this one. All right. So step one, adjust our positioning. Because I said I wanted to do it where I try to convey the way the shadow was coming across the moon uh, when I saw it, and we're gonna do that with this photo. That looks pretty good, position-wise. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'll stick with that. All right, let's go. This is very goofy. There we go. That's what I want. All right, so step one, usual deal. Clarity, texture. Let's make the moon look moony. Uh, Highlights are pretty much fine. Let's bring them down by, yeah, like -5 is a good idea. Um, Vibrant saturation, no real color in the moon here. A little bit of gold. We're gonna we're gonna fix that. We're gonna play with that one. Okay. So yeah, usual steps here. Select subject, just so I can increase the texture on the moon. Get that to be nice and get that even sharper. Then we're gonna do a duplicate and invert so that I can decrease the texture, up the noise reduction, and drop the blacks. Nice and easy. Cool. Back to here. I'm still working on that mask. No, not still want to work on the mask. Cool. Could dehaze a bit. Don't really want to. I'm going to save that for my next thing. Uh, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that looks right now. It's good and clean and crisp. Let's give it 3 stars, and now let's start playing. And the way I'm going to do this is actually very easy. I'm going to do a linear gradient going right across the moon here on this at the same angle as the eclipse. Kind of like that. I'm going to fade it out a little bit so it's reaching a little further. Cool. Actually, I want it reaching, yeah, right about there. Good. And then I'm going to push that all the way to blue. All the way, just more of the way to blue. And that we're going to dehaze. So we get kind of that softer, bring the shadows down a bit. Get that kind of encroaching feeling. A little bit of blue there. That looks pretty good. All right, now we're going to do the usual duplicate and invert. So we got one now going the other direction. I'm going to push this one to gold. Not super gold, just a little bit gold. Going to bring up the highlights a bit. It's a better way to do that. Texture? No, texture's not going to help. Clarity's not where I want to go with that. I like where the clarity is. Dehaze a little bit. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's push this a little more toward gold. Get a little more of a thing going on there. More saturation to it. Up the contrast a bit. There we go. Let's come back to our first mask. Let's bring the blacks down just a touch. Ooh, hang on. That's what I was looking to do. Bringing the whites down a little bit more puts a little bit of darkness in the shadow that's reaching there, and that is good. Texture slash not really doing much for us. Clarity sort of does, but not a whole lot. I can bring it down a little bit, but I kind of like it where it is. All right, so that's that. Let's give that 3 stars. Just kind of replicates a little better what it looked like being there. I actually want to darken that a little bit more. This mask here. I want to bring the highlights down just a touch. Give it a bit more of that reach and bring up the saturation on a little bit more. Let that blue kind of come through. -6. Cool. That looks cool. I like that. Yeah. Many faces of the moon. Cool. All right. And now I'm fairly happy with how the moon shots are looking right now. There's not a whole lot more I want to do, I don't think. Because we've done this version of the blood moon, which is rapidly becoming my favorite photo of the group. We got this one, which is just the like classic, really pulls the moon out. Like there's your full eclipse look. Couple others here that are just playing with different white balances, but for the most part, yeah, I'm happy with what we got. This one's actually kind of cool. We did that one. Let me play with this one a little bit just before we move off the moon and we move on to the sunrise. Sunrise. I'm got a bit of a lisp tonight. Cool. All right, let's go. Turn that off. Let's do the usual clarity and texture thing. So I start getting the color in. Nice. All right, here's the thing. In this case, I know the blues are there. I want to bring them up. Blues, the purples, and the magentas a little bit. I bring the blue down there. Green, or Aqua's doing. Nope. Oh, hang on. Undo, undo. There we go. There's not really much for Aqua to do up here. Bring up the red, brightens that up. Cool. Now I can go back here and I can bring up the highlights a touch. We can do our usual masking because I want to brighten up the shadows without brightening up the brightening up the world around it. So we're gonna bring up the shadows a little bit. Just get that moon a touch lighter. How noisy is that moon? Yeah, standardly noisy. And I was shooting at 800 ISO, which is fair. Uh, Duplicate and invert. Texture up, blacks down, noise up, blacks not that far down. Cool. Gives me some stars. All right, so we're good with that. Close out the masking, and I can just come down here and do a little bit more, just basic cleanup. Yeah, blacks down a tiny bit, gives a little more of a gradient color and light wise. Highlights up a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Pretty sweet. 3 stars. Okay, and for anyone wondering, that star ranking system that I'm doing, I'm not sitting here being like, oh, none of these are good enough to be 5 stars. I use it to sort. So once I'm done editing, I'll go to my filter, I'll go to rated, this gives me everything 1 star and higher. I can go to 3 stars and be like, okay, these are all the ones. And then once I upload them or once I export them and upload them to my website, then I can drop them down to 2 stars, and I'll be like, okay, I know that the 3 star ones need to be uploaded. The rest, let's take the rating off. There we go. Yeah, the 3 star ones need to be uploaded. The rest have already been uploaded. Okay, so these look good. Let's do some sunrise stuff. Let's start with these guys because I kind of want to play with them. Because this was kind of when I was out there. This is the shot I want to get. So I want to get a shot with this moon uh, over buildings. So that's a good start. Nope, not take it back. Need more breathing space. There we go. Let the moon be part of the subject. All right, clarity, dehaze. Yeah. Ooh, I don't know. Come back to that. Clipping the whites a little bit. Not ideal. Bring that down. The only thing I don't like is the color of that sky back there. That's not bad. That's a start. Okay. Also, not a huge fan of the fact it's a Wells Fargo building. Uh, I didn't trying not to advertise for Wells Fargo here. All right. If I tell you to select the subject, what are you gonna give me? You're gonna give me the buildings, aren't you? You're gonna be some weird version of the building supposed to give me the moon. Okay, actually, you gave me the moon too. That works really well because I can subtract with a brush, and I can get rid of all this. I can just have the moon, which is perfect. Awesome. So now we can clarity, we can texture, we can highlights, we can shadows. We can even adjust color if we want to, which I will be doing. Yeah, push that to yellow, get a little more red in there. That's a good idea. That's getting somewhere. Can saturate up. I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do that individually with the color panel. So yeah, that's a pretty good start. I'm considering Sin Citying this photo. We'll see if I end up doing that, or even just doing the whole thing in black and white. But that kind of removes the. It's cool. I might come back to that. I'm gonna make a second copy of this. Where's that? Where's that button? There it is. There's a keyboard shortcut for it that I just do not remember ever. Cool. So now, when you go to black and white, your color panel is now substantially different. Well, it's just luminance. It's just color luminance there. So I can bring the oranges down, bring the yellows down, so we don't affect as much. Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much just affecting that. There are no greens in this photo, or no aquas. And, oh, there's a little bit of green. Okay, brighten that up so that becomes a. Okay, that photo's all right. Not sure it's really changing the world for me, but it's a cool photo. Let's look at this one. This is the other version of it, the one in color, obviously. So up the saturation on the blues, on the purples, on the magentas. There we go. On the reds reds as well. Get that moon to look the way we want it to. I'm also going to push the magentas and the purples more toward red. Nope, that didn't work. Let's push the magentas more toward red, though. We'll play with the... There we go. Playing with that. All right. Can brighten up the reds and get that nice color there. Can darken the blues. Don't know if I want to. Can darken the purples. Actually, brightening those up is giving me something I don't hate. How am I doing noise-wise? A little bit. Not too bad. Less than I thought. That's good. Bring the yellows down. Bring the oranges up a bit. That's not bad. Yeah. Okay. Alright, but that I'm gonna give it 2 stars. It's not necessarily... Actually, no, I gotta give it 3. But it's not necessarily my favorite. That one's really not doing much for me. It's the... Without the moon being red, you lose something. Alright, let's do some landscapes. Let's do something that's a little more fun, a little more different. Alright, because I love my tilted angles. Here's what I like best. Yeah, this was an accident. This one was intentional. I crop this because I don't like this line here. I don't like the line of hedge. Yeah, I like that. We're gonna use this one. Okay. And so you've been on my stream long enough, you know that I'm a big fan of like clarity and texture. I like bringing, especially in landscapes and cityscapes, I like really bringing those obnoxious details out. Dehazing as well. Yeah, I'm like, oh, let's go big with a lot of this. Sky is very noisy. We're gonna go ahead and fix that right now. Uh, Oof, I don't know if you heard that. I feel like every vertebrae in my neck just cracked. There we go. We'll get the sky, and now we can denoise that. Smooth that up. We can pull some of the texture out of it, which is helpful. I'm gonna have to do a real quick thing with that. I'm gonna subtract with a brush. Gonna zoom in here. Gonna zoom in a lot more than. Oh, give me the navigator back. Gonna zoom in 100%. Pull the feathering way down because this is just a specific circle. Because I want to make sure that I don't lose the moon. There we go. Good. Cool. Now I'm gonna do a new mask. Brush. Same deal. Gonna zoom in. Just gonna get only the moon. So it's got a spot that I can work on it, and I can pull the textures down. I can pull the clarity up. Don't even need to. Push its color more toward red, like that. Ah, come back here. Bring the saturation up on it. There we go. Getting that nice red in there. Uh, can also denoise it. Cool. There it is. Sticking up above the thing. All right. Let's also do. All right. Let's stick with this for now. And let's do some. Let's do some. Don't want to crop this anymore. Give it a little breathing room. I don't necessarily need that edge there. I think if I pull this in, I get a little more. Yeah, I get that. If I pull this up a bit, I get the corner of that building right there, and it feels like I like this shot. To me, I feel like I'm kind of careening through the city. I'm like I'm flying through. Actually, take it back. That crop did not do what I want. That's better. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of careening through, and I like that. I like that about this shot. Okay. Let's see. Just play a little bit. Yeah, bringing the shadows up's not a bad idea. Realize I'm adding noise every time I do that. Let's go down to color. Let's work on color a bit for this one. So blues we want to bring up a little bit. Purples and the magentas for sure. There's going to be a lot of color in that sky, and I want to pull up a little bit of it right here. There we go. Oranges. Now the oranges can kind of stay where they are. I like them. I want to bring the yellows up though, because the yellows are going to contribute to kind of the seediness of like the. I love this because it's like you got the sky, you've got like the skyscrapers, and then you have the undercity down here, and I like having that as an isolated area. Let's go over to here. Reds. We're gonna leave the. Could brighten that up a little bit, but I don't really want to. I kind of like it having that haze to it. Blues, I will tweak. We'll bring the blues up a little bit, as well as the purples. and the magentas just a bit to try to smooth out that transition. Doesn't make it less of a harsh line. Instead, we're gonna leave the reds alone. If I bring up the yellows, now we notice the yellow down there. That's pretty cool. Now I can even bring the oranges down a touch. I like that. Okay. I'm gonna do a couple of quick little moments here where I just sort of shape certain areas. I'm gonna put a brush over here. Gonna put a brush over here. And just this section there. Just a couple of certain spots that I want to darken because I want my attention kind of following this line up to the sky. So I'm gonna drop my density down on this brush, and I'm gonna brush in this area here. So it's so that way it's still there. You can still see it. It's not as dark as some of the other areas, but it doesn't draw your eyes immediately as the rest of it does. Let's include the water tower. Actually, let's not include the water tower. Let's let the water tower kind of have its own little moment. We can bring this spot down. Actually, that's also fine. It's dark enough you're not really noticing it. There we go. Could do it over there. Yeah, let's darken that as well. Too much. Yeah. You see the overlay? Let's see what I'm doing here. There we go. Cool. That. Cool. I like that. I think that's got some good potential. Let's do a new mask. Same thing with a brush. I'm gonna leave the density kind of at half there. I'm just gonna get this area down here. I'm gonna brighten this. Now I'm gonna brighten some of this stuff up. Just certain spots. Let's get this line here. Leave that skyscraper alone. I like the way that color handles it, hits it. Cool. Yeah, I am pretty happy with that photo. I think that looks very cool. Oh, one other thing I wanted to do. Let's do a new mask, brush, all the way up. I want to give this water tower something. There we go. The highlights on it. Put the saturation on it because I think it's going to give us something there. I could push it to blue a little bit. Nah, that doesn't look as good. Yeah, I'm just gonna let its own colors do their thing. If I bring the shadows up, brighten it a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to over clarify it. Texture though? Texture brings it out. There we go. Cool. I like this. I think that looks good. Actually, can I adjust the opacity of this mask? Let's see. No, I really can't. Okay, we're gonna leave that as is. All right, cool. Yeah, that's what that looks like, and I'm happy. 3 stars. All right, more traditional kind of sunrise there. Where Original shot of the city anyway, with the moon. Yeah, it's still there. You can't really see it, but it's definitely there. Um, could do something with this one. I don't know. There's something about a more classic cityscape that I don't mind with this, with the moon in the center like that. Yeah, let's play with this one. Okay, cool. Yeah, you make a decision, it's like, all right, let's go with it. All right, let's see. So, I'm gonna go to this guy that we just did. I'm gonna synchronize. First of all, we're gonna check all, and then we're gonna lose the masks. We're gonna lose the crop. We're gonna keep everything else. Go ahead and synchronize. All right. Now we're gonna start masking. So, sky, step one. texture, noise, relax down. Excellent. All right, same deal, subtract. Subtract with a radial gradient this time, make my life a little bit easier. Just, just get rid of the moon there. And bring the feathering down. Cool. So now that overlay looks like this, which is awesome. New mask, radial gradient, same deal. Let's give me something over the moon. That looks good. So same deal here. Now we can up the texture. We can reduce the noise. No reason to worry about that. Clarity. Yeah, bring the clarity up. The highlights up. Let's brighten that thing up a little bit. Bring the feathering down even more. I really don't. Go. Awesome. It's not looking too bad. That noise reduction is actually hurting me. Let's turn that off. Yeah, that's better. Especially zoomed out this much, you're not paying attention to the noise there. All right. Let's go here. Duplicate and invert. So I get that. Actually, I'm not sure I need to do that. Let's undo it. I don't think I need it. All right, masking off. Let's keep working on the photo itself. Let's come down to color, which you already did a lot of. Let's bring those oranges down. The yellows down as well. Reds can stay where they are. Same deal. Trying to find a balance between of orange to whatever else. Bringing those magentas down is pretty good. Okay, let's come back up here to the whites. Bring down them a little bit, or a lot, because that's darkening the brightest areas. That looks pretty cool. I don't hate that. Set that for 3 as well. Moon's noisy. There's noise in the photo. Nothing wrong with that. Still shooting it. Oh, I'm down at 250. That's even better. Cool. Okay, let's see if I can crop this a little bit more. Really can't. I can come in a little more. I could come into that building. Do it like that. Come into here. Do it like that. I don't know. I'm kind of happy with what it was. Yeah, I like that. All right, cool. There we go. Another photo done. Actually, before I think about it, I brought the magentas got brought down. Yeah, they're not doing anything. But if I bring up the purples a little more, gets you a little more color in that sky, and I'm happy about that. All right, cool. Let's move right along. Moon, reflections. Not really touching me right now. More reflections. There's the moon one we played with just to see if we could find it. Let's work on this one. Give me a little bit of fall color. Got a few more photos we can edit. See if I can do them in the next 40 or 35 to 40 minutes. All right, got like 4 or 5 of these. Yeah, got 4 of them. So there's this one with the buildings in focus. This one with I think the plants in focus is the better way to go. There's that one. So that's 1 or it's 3. That's gonna depend on what the sky looks like. Let's work on 3 because I think 3 is gonna be the way I want to go with it. Let's bring this in so we're getting that street but not that extra building. Let's bring this in for the same reason. Let's bring this down. I intentionally took this with a lot of negative space in the sky there so that I could start pulling out the colors. I don't want to over clarify this now. I think about texture I want to bring up. I don't want to over clarify. I want to dehaze. because I want to bring in those colors. That's what we're looking for. Bring up the shadows a little bit. Now that clarifies that I can crop this a little more. Your photos evolve. As you edit them, your photos will evolve more and more. I could come into that, come into there. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a linear gradient again. I'm going to do a brush with it in a sec. Let's do this. Let's bring it down to here. Actually, no, what I want to do is extend this back like that. There we go. All right, we're going to subtract with a brush. We're going to remove, let's make that bigger. We're going to remove all of this stuff. Just bit by bit. There we go. Because I want to make sure what I'm about to do stays off of the, cool. And now we can bring the texture down and just let the color here come through. I'm going to texture up. Nah, let's texture down. There we go. Also bring the highlights down and bring up those colors. That looks so nice. All right, coming down here to work on actual color. Can I have that back? I wish there was a way to lock that panel to be there. If there is anybody, if anybody's watching knows how to lock that panel, that'd be great. Because that is the thing that drives me the craziest when I'm working in Lightroom. It's a red. The orange a little bit. I'm gonna bring up the brightness of the oranges more than anything else. A little bit of green, which I'm gonna take out. Yellows. Also gonna get downplayed because that's more the buildings than the leaves, and I want that contrast. Bring them down a little bit. Yeah. This photo's not as contrasty as I thought it was going to be, and I kind of like that. I say as I bring the blues down more. If I bring those down a little bit, it kind of pushes that color up. Man, I'm leaving that as is. I really am. I like this. I think that photo's in great shape. Set it to 3. All right. Now let's talk. Actually, let's jump toward the later. There's one here I want to edit, which is this guy, which is again me leaning toward into that twisted kind of thing. Let's work on this one. Uh, could crop it, don't really want to. Kind of like the weirdness as is. We're gonna leave that alone. All right, we're gonna dehaze it because I want to bring those colors out. Up the clarity. No, we're not. We're gonna do the clarity separately. We're gonna bring up the texture. We're gonna start with that. All right, we're gonna bring the highlights down. I want to get those colors in the sky. Bring the shadows up because I want to get the road down there. Bring the blacks down a little. Leave the blacks where they are. I don't hate this. All right, let's come down to color, do a little more work, and then we're gonna do some individual stuff. All right. Once again, another photo that kind of makes me feel like I'm careening, kind of makes me, almost, for some reason, I look at this photo, and even though it's only tilted, it feels like it's upside down. And I really actually like that. All right, if I tell it to select the sky, is it going to pull that off? How well is it going to do with that? Really well, actually. Great. All right, subtract, brush. Let's get rid of that section there, because that's not sky. Everything else is a little bit of bleed, and I'm okay with that. All right, same deal. Texture, texture. Nah, let's leave the texture where it is. Let's just denoise this. It's basically the whole thing I wanted to do. Denoise it, darken it a little bit, dehaze it a bit. Just the tiniest bit. There we go. Cool. All right, new mask, brush. This is going to be the road, because this is in my mind, the road is kind of the subject of this. To me, that's kind of the thing that draws my attention. So the clarity. There we go. You notice that, and then we're going to do a new brush. We're going to get all this stuff over here that we do not need. We're going to get rid of it. Stuff down here. Kind of stuff right along the edge. Even this section over here. Actually, hang on. Don't need that. I'm going to come back. I'll do a softer brush with that. I want to get this stuff here darkened up, though. This stuff down here. A little bit of that. There we go. Cool. So here, let's just do it with shadows. I think we do just the shadows. There we go. A little bit of blacks. Not really much in the highlights. That's not where it is. Even dehazing a little bit is helpful. Texture down, draws our eye more to the road. And now I'm gonna bring the density down, or not the flow, the density down about 50%. I'm gonna do the same thing on these buildings here. This kind of side area, spot right there. There we go. So it's not the full effect, but just sort of a little bit lighter. It's that overlay. There we go. Cool. Yeah, there's that photo. I'm pretty happy with that. What's it look like in black and white? Just because I'm curious. It's still pretty interesting. Let's do a second version. There it is. I found the virtual copy option. Let's do a black and white version here. Let's come down to colors. Both these are going to bring the blues down like that. And bring the golds up. Let them be nice and bright. Keep the greens down. Reds. Magentas. There we go. Got some masks here. We got the sky, which I can then use to not dehaze clarity. Put a whole ton of texture into. A little more contrast. We like that. I'm down here to my road. I can push its color a little bit more toward yellow so it brightens up. I can dehaze it a couple of steps just to give that some more contrast, which looks good. And this one, bring the shadows up just a bit. Not the same 100%. Yeah, there we go. Cool. That one's a little more chaotic. It's a little more of a mess, but I don't hate it. I'm actually a big fan. Okay, cool. That goes off. This gets set to 3 stars. Let's play with this one. You'll see why I want to work with this one. Let's get that building kind of straight up and down. More or less centered. Good. Because there's some really cool sky going on right here that I just want to lean into. Let's do a select the sky. Perfect. Damn, absolutely perfect. Duplicate and invert. So I got 2 versions. Now with the building, I can up the clarity. I can leave the texture where it is. I can even actually up the texture even more because I like that. Bring the shadows up and I can desaturate it a little bit. Hey, no, let's see where it is. I kind of like that. Make it blue. Make it gold. Let's see where it is. I say leave where it is, and then I keep playing with it a little bit. I kind of like that. Spin saturation. Could go all the way down, and that looks too weird. Yeah, let's leave it like that. That looks pretty good. And now we'll go back to the sky, and now I can up the clarity. Not quite that much. use it a second time. That'd be kind of crazy. Uh, a little softer, a little more of a pastel look. I'm happy about that. All right, let's come down to color. Let's work on that. There's a whole lot I need to do. Most of it's going to be just a little bit of darkening to shape this. Yeah, I like that. I love the trails going right through it. I'm very much a fan. All right, one other thing with that sky mask, we're gonna get rid of the noise. Take the texture down. Cool. Let's do a tiny bit of healing. Heal. Let's bring these brushes way down. Can I set this to heal, please? Thank you. These are birds or leaves or what else happened to be in the air at the time. There we go. Cool. Close. All right. Nice. Love it. Got a few more shots in a similar vein that I'm not looking to do a whole lot with right now. Uh, yeah, I can feel myself getting kind of cityscaped out at the moment. Roll these sleeves down. Here we go. That one's pretty. Maybe let's just do this one. I don't know. Like, it's got some good lines leading you to the subject there. It's got something to it. Actually, I really do like the composition on this one. Let's pull it in just a little bit less. There we go. A little bit of dehazing, a little bit of texture. Not a ton to do here. Bring the highlights down. Shadows up a little bit. Let's get rid of the sky so we can clean up the noise and clean up a couple of spots there. Nice. Denoise that. Cool. Healing brush. Boom, boom, boom. Little flying particles. I think these are actually, I don't know, I think these are leaves. I don't know if they're leaves or birds, but cool. Thank you. Back to the mask. Texture down. Really play with the dehaze there. I actually don't hate doing that, but now I want to enjoy the softness of it. Let's come down here to color. Let's play with that a little tiny bit. Maybe that's magenta. That's interesting. Okay. There's not a lot I can do with these. Do with the colors here. I can push. I'm gonna push my yellows a little more toward orange. Just kind of fit that color palette a little better. oranges up in brightness a touch. Just gonna bring my yellows up in brightness a touch. There we go. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. Looks pretty good. Set that there. I want to do a tiny little bit of dodging. Get this area down here, which I don't necessarily love. I'm just gonna bring the shadows down on that. Set it up and make it part of this and brighten it up. Nah, I think that's distracting. Bring that down a little bit. There we go. Do the same thing for this area around here. Up the. Oh, why is the flow that low? That's my problem. Now bring the opacity down, the density down even more. Just gonna get these, that area there. Same with this area over here. Cool. It's a noisy. It's a chaotic shot, but I really like it. All right, let's finish up. We got one shot I wanted left that I want to do, and this was on the way back. On the way home, like I pulled to the parking lot and I saw this, and I was like, all right, I gotta do something with this shot because just the sun, the colors, the composition really struck me. This is what we're gonna work on. This is what we're gonna finish up tonight. We start with the moon, we end with the sun. So, do I have a whole lot of place for clarity on this one? Dehazing, yes. Dehazing I want to do. I'm aware that I'm clipping the highlights, though not as much as I thought I was. Do I actually have? I've got some overexposed spots. Do I? Wait, do I not? This thing is that balanced? That's amazing. I didn't think I had that. All right, cool. There's not a whole lot to do with this one. This one looks pretty phenomenal as is. There we go. Look at that. I absolutely love how this photo's coming out. Bring up the reds because I'm loving the fall reds. Blues, a little bit, not a whole lot. Don't really need to do much with it. Uh, push the oranges. Don't really want to. Or the yellows. Push the oranges a little bit. Don't really. A little bit extra orange isn't bad. I like that little bit of yellow, kind of gilding it. Like the oranges being a little brighter. The reds don't really need to be brighter. The reds can stay where they are. Yeah. Wow. I was expecting that to take longer than it did. I love that shot. 3 stars. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay. So, let's just scroll through, see if there's anything else I want to do. I don't think so. Let's go to 3 stars and look at our. Let's go to 2 stars and go through our whole adventure here. So, tonight's photos. We did this shot of the moon as a starting point, just to get it nice and crisp. We did this one, a little brighter, a little more fun to do. A couple more as the eclipse comes on. We did this one, which has our blue and yellow. Uh, this shot from Richmond in the 70s. That one, our Pokeball Yamaka shot. This shot, whereas we're coming into mid eclipse. This one, same deal. This guy, same kind of thing, coming through. This one, which is our new favorite. Absolutely adore that shot. There's our original one. This guy, which I don't know if I'm gonna do anything with, but I've got it in a couple different versions. This one was another favorite of mine once it kind of sorts itself out there. It's another grimy one that I like. This guy here, good cityscape over the thing. This one that we just played with. uh, this guy with some fall colors. Yeah, let me adjust that one real fast. I want to brighten the reds up even more. Yeah, I want those leaves to pop. There we go. That's better. Yeah, cool. All right. Here's a nice cityscape, the one we kind of finished up on. Again, I kind of want to brighten up the reds if I can. Nah, I can't really do that without affecting the sky. Never mind, we'll leave it as is. Get back there. All right, now we're here with our building and our color coming through it. That blue being all the way down is causing problems. Let's leave that where it was. Let's also leave the aquas where they were. Yeah, that's better. Could push the aqua to blue a little bit though. That might not be bad. Now if I bring up the blues and the aquas, that's better. We'll live with that. I'm happy. Cool. Uh, this one, which I find super interesting, I want to do a little adjustment with the purples. Make the purples a little more toward blue. That takes a lot of that out of the sky. Okay, new plan. Come up to mask. Get that street mask. I want to push that a little more. There we go, into that nicer kind of aqua, as opposed to being that purpley blue. If I come down here, I can brighten up the aquas, and we'll get a little bit more down there. Cool. Yeah, I like that. All right. Close the masks out, go back down to here. So there's that. There's the black and white version, which is, I don't know, kind of more attractive to me. And we finished with that. So moon to fall to sun, the whole and everything in between. So this has been yeah. We'll come back to me. There we go. So this has been the editing session for our Blood Moon Eclipse. I'm gonna render these out and post them on my website later this week. Actually, I think tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is my upload night, so I will post these tomorrow night. But I will probably share a few of them on Facebook for now. Yeah, thanks for being part of this. Thanks for joining. Everyone who watched, everyone who shared comments, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you and a pleasure to share this with you. And it was fun to just get these out and get them done. So yeah, all of that said, I'm gonna sign off for the night and get on with what I'm supposed to be doing the rest of the night. Check my schedule. But yeah, just uh, I want to share something that a friend of mine who I was chatting with last night, while he's also a photographer. She and I were she was kind of done for the day and didn't want to go out, and I was like, no, 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 you gotta like just step outside, just step out, like wherever you are, step outside, look at the moon, and she sent me a voice message as she's like listen as she was walking out of the house, and like I got to hear the moment she first saw it and saw the eclipse and the joy in her voice, and that was like that's the kind of thing that photography and that our stories and that this the world we live in can bring. Like there's that, you know, didn't have to do anything for that joy. Just had to step outside and look at our planet or look up, up at our sky. So that's amazing. It's such a joy to get to share the photos of that with you guys and with the rest of the world, and try to do what we can to capture the love that and the joy that we can find on this, our little blue dot. So thank you. Be safe, be well, keep making stuff, keep putting it out there. I don't care if you've been shooting with cameras forever. I don't care if you have just gotten a camera and are going around taking pictures of turtles. Uh, I don't care if your camera is not a camera. If it's a pen or if it's a piano or if it is just your voice or whatever. Keep making stuff. Keep making stuff. Keep telling stories. You're gonna blow the world away. So that said, good night. Be amazing. Be well. See you next time.